yesterday was the public confirmation of the private reports of what he said behind veterans' backs. The Harris-Walz campaign issued a statement slamming Trump's comments, writing, "Donald Trump knows nothing about service to anyone or anything but himself. We owe it to our service members, our country, and our future to make sure Donald Trump is never our nation's commander-in-chief." Joining me now is Jon Soltz, Iraq War veteran and co-founder and chairman of VoteVets. I don't even have a question, Jon. I'm just going to let you respond to what Donald Trump said.
Trump did it. I mean, he just completely changed the narrative. I mean, for 10 days, they've been after Walz and these little issues about, debates on did he retire as a master sergeant or a sergeant major? And then Trump comes out there and does what he always does. He completely fumbles the football and demonstrates once again he doesn't understand our community or the United States military. There's only 14 Medal of Honor recipients that are alive from Iraq or Afghanistan today. And he sits there at a conference speaking to Sheldon Adelson's widow. And look, VoteVets was the 5th largest super PAC for Democrats last cycle. What he's really trying to do is raise money from her. And to try to raise a $100 million check, he threw Medal of Honor recipients under the bus. He demonstrated once again he doesn't understand our military. But that's kind of his game, right? He uses the military to benefit himself when in reality his real framework for it is, I don't want to go to Vietnam and I'm afraid to go to Vietnam. And that's where we get comments about people who serve being suckers or losers. So absolutely par for the course, completely changes the narrative. Of course, this morning he sent out his public affairs NCO, J.D. Vance, to try to clean up his mess. And he actually stepped in it and made it worse.
Yeah, here's J.D. Vance trying to do that.
This is a guy who loves our veterans and who honors our veterans. I don't think him complimenting and saying a nice word about a person who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom is in any way denigrating those who received military honors. They're two different awards.
Your thoughts on that?
That guy's a fraud. Okay, that guy's a fraud because he's a public affairs non-commissioned officer. That's great. Totally respect his service, but he's a fraud because any veteran that can stand with a man who's consistently disrespected, John McCain for getting shot down, Khizr Khan for defending his son's, legacy at a speech, calling veterans suckers and losers. Look, John Kelly's the source for it. John Kelly's confirmed this on the record. This is his chief of staff. And continually defending and trying to say that he didn't say these things. Then, of course, he goes out and trashes basically the Medal of Honor so he can raise a super PAC check. And if you're going to be a veteran and you're going to go out there and stump for this guy, you have to ask yourself, are you a fraud? J.D. Vance is a fraud because he sold out every member of the military and every veteran in this country. And he sold his soul to someone who, basically unleashed the biggest attack on this country in January 6th that we had seen since 9/11. It's absolutely preposterous. And it makes me completely not like him, not just politically, but as a person. And as a veteran, I just don't respect him because he's giving this guy cover when he should be denouncing him.
And by the way, none of the generals who served, Donald Trump was very ostentatious about recruiting generals to serve in his administration. None of them support him now. General Kelly has confirmed his nasty and ugly remarks about veterans. We haven't seen General Mattis come out and defend him, and he's also slammed him in the past. Mark Milley, who he wants to have arrested. You could go on and on. But let's go also to the Medal of Freedom, because in a way, he kind of disrespected the Medal of Freedom, too. Donald Trump gave the Medal of Freedom not just to Miriam Edelson, for the valorous task of giving him money. He also gave it to Antonin Scalia, one of the people who's tried to rip away rights from a lot of Americans. He gave it to Rush Limbaugh, basically for being a jerk on the radio that right-wingers like. Devin Nunes, that guy, that senator who was a congressman who was helpful to him, and Jim Jordan for, I guess, screaming at people on his behalf in Congress. By contrast, another Republican president, George W. Bush, gave it to Nelson Mandela, Nancy Reagan, Julia Childs, Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, Aretha Franklin, and Václav Havel. Joe Biden gave it to Simone Biles, Gabby Giffords, Tim Cook, Khizr Khan, the Gold Star father that Trump attacked, Diane Nash, the civil rights hero, Jim Clyburn, and Nancy Pelosi. He doesn't even give the Medal of Freedom to people who seem, I don't know, super deserving.
You can tie those two thoughts together, right? He built this administration, and at first he had all these generals that are supposed to be, on board with him. None of them like him now. Kelly's quiet. Milley's hiding, right? There's been threats against his life. All of these military folks, Jim Mattis, he trashed, they thought they could work with him. These are traditionally public servants that become people that receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Trump gives it to his friends. And if you start to dig into Project 2025, every single person in the military should be scared out of their minds, because what they did to Alex Vindman when they took him off of a promotion list for colonel, they can do to anybody inside the military if they get what they want. Trump does not want apolitical people serving in our government. He wants his buddies in the government, and that's kind of who he gives the Medal of Freedom to, as you've talked about, his buddies.
I am proud to know one of the Medal of Honor recipients. His name is Colonel Jack Jacobs. He's awesome. We love him at MSNBC. You see him frequently on our air, and he is a great man.
We love him too.
He's awesome. He's one of the best ever. Jon Soltz, you're also the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.